Thank you for listening to the BJJBrick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends, to episode 100 of the BJJBrick Podcast. My name is Byron. I'm here with my buddy Gary. Gary, welcome to episode 100.
Man, episode 100. I never thought we'd make it this far. I remember when you first asked me if I'd be interested in a podcast, and I didn't even know what a podcast was. And here we are 100 weeks later with an incredible episode. This is it's a very inspirational and motivational episode. It's kind of cool that we made it this far. Absolutely.
And I remember, Gary, I kept, every time we get together and we'd stay late, just be the two of us, we'd start talking about jiu-jitsu and just kind of getting these deep conversations. And then with the idea of a podcast, I'm like, I got to get Gary on this thing and have him share his wisdom. So.
And the crazy thing is, I thought you got me on there for my good looks. I didn't realize podcast wasn't video related. So, at first I had no clue. I thought it was my good looks.
Yeah, that's the safe assumption. You know, most things you've earned through your good looks and your a little bit of charm, but most of your looks.
That's why I haven't really earned anything in life.
But 100 episodes, it's an honor to have, to be in your ear, if you get earbuds on or whatever, however you listen to us. It's an honor to be listened to by such a great community, and it's just been a lot of fun. We should definitely thank all of the guests that we've had on the podcast so far. I don't think we could have done anywhere near 100 episodes of just you and me, but, we've had some people just volunteer their time and their knowledge and their energy and set up appointments with us and do interviews. It's really not an easy thing to do to be interviewed. We try to make it as easy as we can, but it's an effort, and people whose times are valuable. If you were to buy, an hour of private lesson with some of these people, it'd be a ton. It'd be, a lot of money, but they just volunteer this time, and they know that it's, or they at least hope that it's helping people out there and it's helping the community. So a tremendous honor and a big thank you to anybody who's been on the podcast and shared what they have with the community. And we couldn't have done it without so many great guests. And I know I've learned a lot from them. If you listen to the way I've expressed myself and my thoughts about it, some of them have changed. And that's just because I've got all this great time talking to and listening to so many people in the community. So big thank you to all the guests we've ever had.
Yep, like Byron said, we've definitely learned a lot. It's I just can't imagine how much I've learned just through our guests and our listeners. But besides just our guests, man, if it wasn't for you listeners, for everybody listening to us every week, sending us comments, giving us reviews, letting us know what you think, man, it's just so humbling. 100 episodes later, that we have a loyal group of people who listen to us every week, and without you guys, I mean, we wouldn't be here. I thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And, anytime you guys have any questions, concerns, send us an email. We'll be happy to answer it or both ways. We'll pick your brains, you pick our brains. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. And you can email us at bjjbrick@gmail.com. That's the easiest way. This week is a special episode. Isn't that right, Gary?
Very special episode. It's a cool episode. I know we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, but this week we asked people to give us a little sound clip, an audio clip of what jiu-jitsu means to you, what it has done for you in your life. So it's a very inspirational, motivational. We have some of our previous guests. It's like a who of the jiu-jitsu community. As long as you take my clip out. We've got a lot of great people and a lot of our guests, a lot of our listeners who listen to us have each week have also sent an audio clip in. So it's kind of neat to share share with our listeners, let them have a chance to be on our podcast.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to open it up for everybody and let people share their story, share what motivates them. A lot of times I talk to the people before we record the clip, and jiu-jitsu is so much more than just learning how to fight better. I mean, if that's all you're getting out of jiu-jitsu, you need to really evaluate what you're doing with it, and you're missing out on some big things. And you're going to hear a lot of these big things today. And sometimes everybody kind of gets down from time to time. What am I doing with my time? I'm missing out on other things. There's other opportunities for me. But to hear these people and what they're able to do with jiu-jitsu and what it's bringing to their life, it's definitely I'm fired up to get back to training even harder than I was yesterday. And it's just a great opportunity to get motivated. So if you've got maybe some friends that trained for a while and they quit, maybe send them this and maybe get them reminded how great this martial art is, and maybe if you got somebody who's interested but kind of on the fence, some of these stories might push them over and get them to come in and check it out. It's hard to come in and try something for the first time, and something as intimidating as this can be very difficult. So hopefully this could be used as a tool to get a few people to get onto the mat.
Yes, definitely. And basically, since it's a special episode, we're not going to have the quote of the week. We're not going to do the article of the week. I think we should just go right into the clips there. What do you think, Byron?
That sounds good. They'll air like back to back with a little space in between each one, and most of the clips introduce themselves. If not, I'll introduce them for them, and we'll get to hear all their stories. So this will be a lot of fun. So let's air the clips. He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
He hit 88 miles per hour on his bicycle, and his flux capacitor took him to watch the first wrestling in the Olympics. His tornado guard once left the referee homeless. He holds an impressive record in death matches, 58-7. He uses the Heimlich maneuver to prevent from tapping to a choke.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BJJBrick Podcast. Go for the submission, my friends.
Hey, BjjBrick, congratulations on your 100th episode. That is an amazing achievement. These days, it's rare to find people that are so committed to something, and I think that's awesome that you guys have stayed committed to your show and to continue spreading the art that we all love, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So today's topic is how BJJ affected our lives. Before I get into my particular story, I just wanted to say that there are many ways to practice Jiu-Jitsu, and there are so many different personality types in the art, and the way one person practices might be different than the other. I've interviewed so many different instructors and talked to so many different students, and some people practice just for a form of exercise. They want some way to manage their weight. Other people might train just for the social aspect. They want to make friends. Other people train to become confident in street altercations. Other guys might be looking to develop a career in MMA. And other guys, they might just want the intellectual stimulation that Jiu-Jitsu provides. So what I'm saying is there are many ways to practice Jiu-Jitsu, and the training methodology that one guy likes might be very different than what somebody else likes. And I think that's something that we should all accept. Just like religion and politics, in Jiu-Jitsu, we come across these guys that believe their way is the only way. And I think that is not the best approach. I prefer a more inclusive approach where we can say, there are many different ways to train, and the way you like to train might be different than I, and that's okay. That being said, Jiu-Jitsu has changed my life for the better in so many ways. It would take me a lot longer than 5 minutes to get through everything. But just to name a few things, I distinctly remember when I was... Well, first of all, let me just say that I got into Jiu-Jitsu earlier, a little later than most. I was 30 years old when I started training BJJ, and even though I had trained other martial arts since I was 13, so... Training martial arts was not a new thing, but Jiu-Jitsu was. When I started training BJJ, it wasn't something that I expected to take control of my life and my career as much as it did. But I distinctly remember when I was 20 years old going out to buy a pair of pants. And I remember them being a little bit tight, so I got a size up. And my rationale was that it's just natural for weight to increase as you get older. You know, looking at all the other guys in my life, my dad, my grandparents, everybody, they got fatter as they got older. So I expected that to happen with me. Now I'm proud to say that at the age of 41, that I wear a smaller waist size than I did when I was 20. So that's something I'm pretty proud of. It's not just a numbers game, but it's a sign of health. You know, I feel way younger than my age, and when I see other people my age that don't train, man, it just goes to show that a lifestyle of jiu-jitsu can really do wonders for your health. So for the main thing, that's the main thing. You know, I train 4 or 5 times a week. I eat well, and I don't think if I was training most other martial arts, I would stay in this good of shape. You know, the sparring that we do in jiu-jitsu is such a great workout, and it's so fun. It's not like going to the gym where you're just lifting weights. It's hard to stay motivated in that context, at least for me. So the overall main thing that jiu-jitsu has done for me is it's kept me healthy. And not just physically, mentally as well. You know, I think sparring, you're going to go against guys that are better than you, and you're going to get beat up. And I think that's good for keeping a healthy ego. You know, it keeps your ego in check. And once you think you're starting to be a badass, you can go compete, and you'll probably lose there. You know, if not in the first round, then usually by the finals. And if you don't, then you're one of those few that is one of the best in the world. So jiu-jitsu is good not only for the body but the mind as well. And like I mentioned earlier, intellectual stimulation. You know, the pool of knowledge in jiu-jitsu is so deep. I never get bored of it. I did get bored of other martial arts that I studied. I felt like after a while the return on my investment of time was just not quite there. But jiu-jitsu, man, the learning never stops. Once you think you've got something figured out, somebody will do something else. They might break the so-called rules that you think you know, and there's always something new to explore. And I think that is a lot of fun. It keeps the art fresh, and so that's mainly it, man. I mean, just the benefits, the mind and body that jiu-jitsu provides, as long as you're able to stay relatively injury-free, tapping early, having good training partners that you trust. This is such a wonderful art. So once again, guys, congratulations on the 100th episode, and I hope I get a chance to train with you guys sometime on the mat. Thanks again. Keep up the great work. See you guys.
All right, this is Stephen Whittier from 40 Plus BJJ, founder of 40 Plus BJJ program, and I also own Straight Blast Gym East Coast in Wareham, Massachusetts. As far as jiu-jitsu's benefits off the mat, I'm sure my experiences have been pretty similar to a lot of people's. I've been doing jiu-jitsu now for, 17 years, and martial arts for well over 25, and for sure, confidence, I think, is massive, how that affects you in other aspects of your life. A lot of times I think we first get into functional martial art like jiu-jitsu because we want to know that we can defend themselves. Ultimately, self-defense for most people means confidence. And then after a little bit, that becomes less important because it sort of takes care of itself in terms of skill. So then it becomes about relationships that you have and the ability to sort of see yourself achieving different landmarks, different benchmarks in terms of what you can accomplish on the mat. And you start to take that into other areas of your life because there's a discipline there and a sense of achievement, and you want to have that empower everything you do. So personal relationships, your occupation, whether it's school or work, and I've certainly felt that. And for sure the discipline as well, and also the way that it allows you to think. So people that do jiu-jitsu understand, whereas people who might be outside of it just see it as kind of like a ruffian thing, people wrestling with each other. Those of us who do jiu-jitsu understand how technical and how nuanced it is, how much problem solving. So it helps you to think analytically about other areas. It helps you to apply yourself and realize that, there are problems and there are solutions, and you can apply that same mindset to solving other problems in your life. And then I think the biggest thing as well, which also I'm sure others would echo, is that the people that you meet along the way are often going to be some of your best friends. And you have, your senior students and your instructors, you have that level of trust and mentorship with them. You also have a very close bond, because not just from the social aspect, but from the physical aspect of actually going in there, and you're basically making your physical body available to somebody else and vice versa in order to make yourself better in this art. So there's a degree of respect and trust that you build there, which is very powerful. And you just one of the things as an instructor that I love to see that I had when I was coming up as a student now with my own school. I see people come in that have never met each other before, and they could come from completely different backgrounds, walks of life, sometimes similar personalities, sometimes very different. But I love to see how they come together and then develop relationships that extend outside themselves, just like I did. And so it's very close-knit, and I think that's super powerful. I've known people who come into this art, a couple friends of mine actually, who are both black belts now, both instructors at my friend's academy in Portland, and they're married. And they met each other through jiu-jitsu, and they're doing great. They're like best friends, husband, wife, and probably each other's best training partners, and things like that. Just phenomenal to hear about.
My name's Mike Bowser. I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a little over 3 years now. I started, I guess you have to go farther back. I'm like 36 years old, and for the most part of my life, I've struggled with my weight. At my peak, I was 330 pounds. I'm 6 foot, so that kind of gives you a gauge of like how big I was. I was definitely not an active person. I never did sports growing up. I was in the band. My wife, I'm married and I have 4 kids. And I used to tell my wife that I would die happy if I just had a donut in my mouth, sitting on the couch, watching TV, just binging. I'm a product of, a really bad society where all we do is we eat to medicate. I was severely obese. I was pre-diabetic. I was on the verge of where I needed to take pills for high cholesterol, high blood pressure. So I was definitely in a lifestyle where I wasn't going to be living for a really long time and see my kids grow up. And so all that kind of was coming to a point where my wife came to me one day and she's like, so there's this place called the UFC Gym next to Costco. They look like something kind of interesting is going on. Would you be interested in doing it? And I said, no, I'm not into gyms. Gyms are stupid. It's just a waste of money. They suck you into a contract and you're never going to go. I've done it for far fitness. I tried tons of diets and none of that stuff worked. And so we went and checked it out. She's like, well, you always said you want to do martial arts, because I was like watching Brazilian movies and martial arts movies. I was always into that stuff. She's like, they have this thing called Jiu-Jitsu, something like that. And I was like, all right, fine. So I went and looked at it, and it was kind of different, there's people rolling around on the ground. And so I started that, and, I actually started to like it. And it was interesting. It was different. It was something I hadn't done before. And the first couple classes I was going to pass out and throw up. And so I kept doing it, and I got hurt for like a month when I first started, and I came back, and I kept going and going. About 3 months in, I lost about 30 pounds. I was down to about 270. And I realized when I ate good, I felt good when I rolled. But when I ate bad, I felt really bad when I rolled. And I was always of the mind state that, cheap food will, is the way to go. And I'd always flip the coupons for Carl's Jr.'s, big Mr. Cheeseburgers. And so I just buy bad food and eat that. But I saw how it affected me when I rolled, so I changed my diet. I started eating lots of fruits and vegetables and changed everything up, and then that's when my weight started to change drastically. And over the course of like a year and a half, I dropped 140 pounds. So now I roll right around 200, 205, and so I've lost a lot of weight from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I can openly say that it saved my life. It really did. I'm living proof that you can have no physical capabilities whatsoever or drive to do anything whatsoever, but I can't sit on a bike for an hour or on a treadmill or lift weights and stare at myself in the mirror. But one thing I can do is in that hour, 2 hours I'm rolling, you're only focused on saving your life. You're not focused on anything else. You're not thinking I'm exercising. All you're thinking is this person's either trying to break my arm or choke me out or do something really bad to me, and I need to figure out how to save it really quick. And so it's just that, combined with it being like a chess game, combined with it being just this really cool community of people that take care of each other, and you really kind of have this synergy and this connection with that person on the mat that I've never experienced anywhere else in my lifetime. And it's very cool. It's very addicting. And like I said, my claim to fame for it is it genuinely saved my life. And to this day, I roll now at, I switched over to, my new school is Pacific Top Team in Corona, under Professor Juan Pablo Garcia. He's a first-degree black belt. And I always told him, I said, I'll die happy if I'm on the roll. So if my last breath is in the middle of a roll, that's how I want to check out of this world. So he always laughs when I said that, though. That's what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has done for me.
My name is Brian Marvin. I'm a black belt professor at Gracie Baja Sugarland down in Sugarland, Texas. It's a suburb of Houston, Texas, right in the southwest corner. So that's what my location is. One of the things that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has done for me is allowed me to deal with stressful situations. I was in the Army for 20 years, and there were times that there was a lot of stress with depending on what location I was in or what my job was allowing me to do. And one of the things that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu allowed me to do is take my mind off of those things. When I was on the mat, I was only concerned with not getting choked or not having someone pass my guard, maintain good positions, work on the key principles of Jiu-Jitsu, not what was happening off the mat. So I think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a good outlet for stress. You got people or work that involves stress in your life, and as soon as you step over that threshold onto those mats, it allows you to clear your mind and focus on yourself, not those things that are stressing you in your life. So that's one of the things that Jiu-Jitsu has done for me.
Hey guys, my name is Rolly Delgado, and I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu out of Little Rock, Arkansas, at Westside MMA. And we're supposed to talk about ways that Jiu-Jitsu has helped us off the mat. And for me, it helped me with confidence. I think that's the one thing that training and Jiu-Jitsu and MMA both just really made an impact on my life. I never had much confidence when I was a kid because I was small. I still am extremely skinny, and I was very, very unathletic. I didn't play many sports, and when I did play sports, I was always one of the worst or the least talented kids on the team. So I didn't have a lot of confidence to be able to defend myself. And so when I started training Jiu-Jitsu, when you train Jiu-Jitsu, you train with everybody, big people, small people, athletic people, black belts, white belts. I mean, if you stay on the mat, you'll meet and train with just about every type of person that there is. And if you stick with it, like I did, you'll get to a point where you'll have the experience in knowing what you can do. And in my experience, everybody that sticks with Jiu-Jitsu gets to be relatively good at it. I don't mean just they know it. I mean, if you stick with it and you're consistent, you will be good at Jiu-Jitsu. You may not be a world champion, but if you stick with it, when you grapple with somebody that doesn't do Jiu-Jitsu, you feel like a god. I mean, you can do anything you want to the person when you're wrestling with them, even if they're bigger than you. And so through just training Jiu-Jitsu forever and the little trials that you have, somebody that gives you trouble and you overcome it, or the roll you have, or the guy's like smashing you and you might pull out like an ankle lock at the last second, and maybe he was up like 20 points on the roll and you submitted him, and then you survived like 3 or 4 real deep chokes in the process. Like all those things, that's real. It kind of goes past confidence, and it's just like actualization. You realize that like you are a very durable, tough individual, and you don't fold easily, and those are the characteristics of somebody that can stick with jiu-jitsu. And just being, for me, training jiu-jitsu for all these years, and of course you don't always come out on top, but knowing that I've been through the ringer so many times, and that I'm durable, and like even when things are tough and there's a lot of pressure on me or I'm tired, I'll have faith in my endurance, or faith in getting my second wind, or faith in my defense. Like maybe, the guy's mounted you, but you're like, all right, like you mounted me, but you're not going to submit me. I'm going to regard you, and I'm going to attack you back. I'm going to go half guard. I'm going to, as soon as I get that foot back between my legs, it's on. I'm going to go, I'm going to get back in the game. And so just things like that, I think that has carried over and just given me a lot of confidence. And like no matter what, I'm going to be all right. Like I'm going to survive. And jiu-jitsu is definitely like when I talk about confidence, like I feel like it's even past confidence, and it's just like true self-actualization, because you've actually done it. You've experienced it. You've replicated it on multiple occasions, and then it's part of you. Like, it's not I don't think jiu-jitsu is the toughest sport in the world, but it's definitely not an easy sport. And if you stick with it and you hit those different milestones, then you can get the confidence out of it as well. So yeah, for me, just being an unathletic kid that, and it wasn't that I was insecure. I was just aware, like what was there to be confident about? I wasn't athletic. I didn't know jiu-jitsu. I didn't know how to fight. I had never been in a real fight, so I had nothing to, I had no reason to, nothing to indicate that I could take care of myself. But now that I have those experiences, of course, I have that confidence, that self-actualization, and I wouldn't trade it. I had this conversation with people. I wouldn't trade it for $1 billion. I would rather be me with my bank account and my experiences and my confidence of knowing I can defend myself. Then I would rather be that than be a billionaire and not have that. So that's how jiu-jitsu has helped me off the mat.
My name is Blake. Been training for about 10 months now, and jiu-jitsu has really done a lot for me. I feel way more confident. I feel like I'm in a lot better shape than I used to be. And I've always hated going to the gym. Something I force myself to do to try to stay in shape. But with jiu-jitsu, I never feel like it's a hassle or something I have to do. It's fun. I enjoy the people I do it with. I enjoy learning it, improving, and it keeps me in great shape without feeling like a hassle or a chore. So I like that about it. It's also confidence-wise. I just recently applied for a new job, and I honestly am not sure I would have done that if it wasn't for the confidence I gained through jiu-jitsu. Feeling like you can at least give it a shot no matter what it is. I mean, you're going to get tapped by guys that are better, bigger, stronger than you, more experienced. But just the fact that you went out there and you competed, or even just trained with somebody and you gave it your best shot, the feeling that you get from that, you can translate that, carry that over into your life. And so I definitely noticed I'm trying new things more, getting out there and mixing it up a little bit. So overall, it's been great for me.
This is PJ Wakus.
There's a few core things that come to mind when I think about how jiu-jitsu has improved my life off the mat. The first one is the aspect of community. Jiu-jitsu is a unique activity, lends to a lifestyle, really. There's camaraderie among those who train, not just the people who train at, say your academy, but also other academies that you may run into randomly, or if you're visiting an academy. In general, you're going to find that people are welcoming. There's not many hobbies or activities or sports, if you want to call it that, etc., that unite so many different types of people to develop a bond. You're going to find people from all walks of life, whether it be former athletes of some sort, people who are blue collar, people who are white collar. You'll probably run into lawyers, doctors, and with that community and the friends developed through that, it comes with support, both on and off the mat. And the people you develop a bond with through jiu-jitsu will go out of their way generally to help you out, and you'll find that you'll do the same for them. So that's one thing. The second thing is the ability to or handling adversity and meeting challenges. So jiu-jitsu by nature brings both progress and setbacks. So if you can't deal with the rough patches, you'll never be able to progress. There's peaks, valleys, and plateaus as well. So jiu-jitsu forces you out of your comfort zone, which really is truly the best way to improve in anything that you do. I'm a firm believer of that, and I'm a manager at work of people, and I express that to them, that they need to be able to step out of their comfort zone. I like to use the term, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it applies to everything in life. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable to better yourself. That could be even something like public speaking. So with regard to adversity, I have 2 special needs kids, and I'm also bipolar, so I am presented with constant challenges. So I apply the mindset, philosophy, etc., of working through tough times. Training consistently provides me an outlet. And it allows me to clear my head, to focus on jiu-jitsu, gives me time to forget about all the other stuff that I have going on in life. They say sometimes, life gets in the way of training, and I like to say that training allows me to be successful in life in general. I'm generally just much happier. It allows me to be a better father and a husband. When you have something you enjoy doing, maybe even you could say passionate about, which I would consider myself to be about jiu-jitsu. It brings together physical fitness, community, reaching goals. You'll generally be happier, which improves all the other aspects of your life. It's amazing how much that really can make things that, cause people to be unhappy to seem like not as much of a deal. Generally as an older jiu-jitsu practitioner at 44, it's not as easy to do certain things that were maybe easy years ago. So it forces me to take a different approach to training and reaching that end point or the goal. There's many ways to accomplish a goal, just like there's many paths to go to reach the same end point. So the quickest, fastest way, maybe least difficult and creative way to that goal may not really be ideal, or maybe even possible for someone. So that's a highly useful mindset and approach to navigating challenges or tasks in everyday life. I expect that I will get the black belt on the purple belt, and have been for 2 years now, and I expect that I will get the black belt, and it's not a matter of how fast, it's just a matter of enjoying training, and when I do get the black belt, it will be one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. And I consider that to be, when I say a black belt, I mean what makes someone a black belt both on and off the mat.
My name is Samir Chantre. I live in Northern California. I have my own school, Samir Chantre BJJ Academy in Sirius, South Modesto, Northern California. Jiu-Jitsu helped me tremendously, not only on the mat, but off the mat. Starting from my health, since I was a kid, we found out that I had scoliosis. I had 2 different kinds of scoliosis. And as a kid, I wouldn't walk with the best posture. Some doctor would say that I would have to do surgery. Some doctor would say just wear some protection so it would help my spine to straight up. But since I had 2 different kinds, one wouldn't help doing this. And as a kid, it's hard for you to follow everything the doctor says, right? Especially something that you have to do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, and I was always very active. I used to play soccer as a kid and all kind of stuff. So when I started doing jiu-jitsu, it started helping me out. It was the stretches, the way that my body started getting more tone, my muscles, even as a kid, everything like that you do, you start like you were working out, So as a kid, and growing up, teenager, my body started like sliding up. I started like getting muscles around my back, which helped me tremendously with my posture, with my like giving support to my spine. And today I feel completely fine. I do stuff that I never thought I was going to do. Today, like upside down, reverted everything that I wouldn't be able to do at a young age. And today, nobody can tell that I have what I have, or that I had what I had. So this is one of the things that Jiu-Jitsu helped me, and one of the most important things. It gave me a self-confidence, as a kid and as an adult too. Growing up, teenager, high school, you're getting a lot of fights. A lot of kids getting a lot of fights, and I was always very, very nice because I didn't need to prove anything to nobody. That was my thought. I didn't need to prove anything to nobody. I knew what I could do, and I knew, and I would do it on the mats. I wouldn't do it off the mats. So that would definitely help me with that. And with my career, that hands down, like jiu-jitsu. I used to live in Brazil. Today I live in California. I traveled almost the whole world, from Asia to Europe to all of South America and Canada. I'm going to Canada this weekend for the first time. So a lot of things that jiu-jitsu has done for me that, like, I'm forever thankful for. The way that I always treat people too, like jiu-jitsu, it gives me that respect that I have to have respect with the elders, with people that has the power on you, like your parents, your family, the elders, the people with the higher rank too. So I think since I was a kid, growing up, having my professor there telling you what to do and having to respect that respect I carried to my life. I carried it off the mat, which I started even respecting my parents better, my older siblings, the elders, all around. So jiu-jitsu is it's an amazing sport, but not only a sport. It's a martial arts and brings you to places, makes you want to have a better life and a healthier lifestyle, because I tell that to my students, and I tell to people that they're thinking of joining. I say that you don't need to diet to do jiu-jitsu. You don't need to get in shape to do jiu-jitsu. You're gonna be doing that after you join, because you don't want to eat a lot and go train. You're gonna throw up. You don't want to drink a lot and go train. So you're gonna start adapting yourself, and you're gonna start getting into a healthier lifestyle in order to perform better, to feel better, and gradually you're gonna start putting that as a priority, and you're gonna see a lot of results in your life, like it was with mine. I was very lucky to be introduced to jiu-jitsu at a very young age, so I was able to be in a very good lifestyle since I was really young. So one more thing that I really thank to jiu-jitsu, and hopefully I'll have a long life. And definitely one of the reasons is because I picked jiu-jitsu in a very young age. So yeah, so many, many things jiu-jitsu has done for me, and I'm very thankful for it. And jiu-jitsu is amazing.
Hey, my name is Mike, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu now about 2.5 years. And as far as some benefits and things that have been for me. A great workout, definitely. Different type. I've never really done anything like this before. Hadn't done any wrestling or anything like that, so it was a completely new experience for me. But it's helped me a lot of ways I was pretty surprised about. Definitely a lot flexible. I used to not really be able to touch my toes or anything like that, so that's been nice. And always had some back trouble and knee problems, things like that, so I'd kind of stopped doing a lot of heavy lifting, and this has really helped actually heal those to where I can actually kind of do some of that again. Some other benefits, helps me always, tend to have a clear head. You can't really stress about other things when some guy's, taking your arm off or choking you out. A couple other cool things that I've really gotten out of it is a couple of older guys in our gyms. They bring their kids, and just seeing, some fathers interact with their kids and things has been good for me. I never had any, young kids or, growing up, never had any young cousins or brothers or anything like that. So that's been fun. And one of the boys actually, during an injury time, it was some really good practice for me to get some rehab to train with one of the younger kids there. So that was really cool. And then most recently, I was really surprised because getting married and stuff and passing out announcements, and I figured, shoot, I spend more time with these guys than I do other people I consider my friends. So it's been really great. I've really enjoyed it.
Hello, BJJBrick Podcast and its listeners. Congratulations on your 100th episode, and thanks for spreading the word of Jiu-Jitsu. You asked how Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, has affected my life. Over the last 20 years, I haven't had to have a job. I've gotten to travel all over the world. I've gotten to support my family and my kids doing what I love. Been to small islands, tropical islands, every continent on the planet, and I've got to spread the art of jiu-jitsu and create an amazing family and meet an amazing group of people which fall under the banner of SBG, all of which I'm very proud of, and all of that came as a result of jiu-jitsu, so I can't really even explain or put to words how much impact jiu-jitsu's had on my life. For everybody else out there, I just remind you that Joseph Campbell once said the only peak experience he ever had was through athletics. And of all forms of athletics, combat sports, I think, are the most powerful for the obvious reason that it's a one-on-one sport. There's nobody to turn to when you fail or succeed. No team. It is a team sport in the fact that it takes everybody to get you there. But while you're playing it, it's you versus somebody else, and it really does tap into a lot of our deep-rooted evolutionary biological instincts when it comes to combat. And jiu-jitsu is the only one you can do when you're 80 or 90 and not be crippled, hurt, or with brain damage. So it is incredibly unique, incredibly powerful, incredibly beautiful when it's done the right way. And it's just a wonderful thing to teach to children, to women, to athletes, to non-athletes, everybody. If I had my way, I'd tell everybody to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So if you're wondering whether you should get on the mat or you're wondering whether you should learn more about Jiu-Jitsu, there's no doubt about it. Jump in. Thanks very much. I'm Matt Thornton, founder, SBG.
My name is Blaine. I train out of Ralph Gracie, San Francisco, under Kurt Osiander. I'm a two-stripe white belt, and I've been training for about 2.5 years on and off. I have a kind of a extremist story when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I found out about it working at a nightclub in San Jose, California. And at the time, there were security guards that I worked with that were training, and we're constantly bringing it up. Guys were really passionate about it, and it was just always part of the conversation. And it did pique my interest. I'd done martial arts before when I was a teenager, but at that time, I was going through a pretty rough time in my life personally. Was quite depressed. Was using all different types of substances, smoking cigarettes. Completely abandoned myself during this time. Pretty dark period of my life. I was actually I'd been addicted to meth at that point for about 3 years, and it was a crazy time. But something pretty neat happened. I ended up getting a job in San Francisco, moving up here spur of the moment, and while hanging out in kind of the hippie district of San Francisco, Haight-Ashbury, I happened to walk into the San Francisco Open, and it's a pretty big IBJJF tournament. Although I certainly didn't know what I was getting myself into. Walked into the building, and I saw jiu-jitsu for the first time. Fell in love with just the mental aspect of what was happening. But also, I noticed everyone there was kind of where I wanted to be in a sense. Healthy. People were happy. I could tell that there was a sense of community amongst all these people, even the competitors. I noticed that, unlike most, wrestling matches, if you've ever been to one, at jiu-jitsu tournaments, the competitors are really, really friendly and rubbed me the right way. Also, fast forward about 6 months from that, I started to clean myself up little by little, and I had a pretty tragic accident with my brother passing away from an overdose of drugs. And that's when I decided enough is enough. And actually, the funny thing is, at that point, I wanted to start training. I made up my mind. I want to do this. It took me about 6 months and that incident to finally get me into the gym. I started training right away under Kurt Osander, and the more I learned about Kurt, the more inspired I was personally by his story, and the more I hung out in the gym. He has a culture at the gym that's they're very stern, and we're all pretty tough on each other. But at the end of the day, everyone's a good person. Everyone's trying to help each other. Everyone's just solid people. And I was rolling with the guy, and he goes, "Hey man, do you smoke cigarettes?" And I was that guy when I started training. I was still smoking cigarettes, and was still going through those developmental issues. But I said, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry. Can you smell it?" And he said, "Dude, there's these things called vaporizers, man. My friend used to smoke too. Keep coming to class and go try out one of these vaporizers." And of course, during that period, you're just getting your ass handed to you regardless. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to actually figure this out." And I went and got a vaporizer the very next day. Don't know Todd, Todd out there. That guy pointed me in the right direction and turned me around just by caring, a stranger caring. It was kind of crazy, man. And it was all kind of a snowball effect from there. I started to get more confident. I quit smoking cigarettes entirely. I started to realize, I'll never forget the first day I trained after I'd eaten terribly all day. I'd ate some fast food, and for lunch, I went straight to the gym after having a few cups of coffee, and it felt terrible. Almost wanted to throw up afterwards, was lightheaded, dizzy, got in my car, could barely drive home, and I just remember saying, "I got to eat. This is important." It all just kind of clicked. Everything kind of clicked, and I started to be just really attracted to good foods that were good for me. I'd go to train, I'd want to go home and drink a smoothie right away. It's something about that. And of course, I started being seduced by jiu-jitsu culture, and I had good direction on Reddit and other forums and podcasts like yours. And I took all this, and every white belt about 6 months in has got the fever for a little bit, and it gave me enough information that I knew I had to change, and that I had to change drastically because I was an indulgent person with addictive behaviors. And I decided to go vegetarian since that moment, about 7 months into training. Was smoke-free. My work was going well. I was feeling better about myself. And my family is far away. And so, jiu-jitsu has become, for me, even training at different gyms with different people, with different partners, even maybe not even knowing the person's name you're rolling with, there's a sense of community. And now that I've been doing it for a little while, I feel like there's almost I can feel someone. I can feel them spiritually a little bit. I can kind of there's like a unspoken relationship built on trust and respect, and that those two aspects of just training all the time translate over into every other. You start to look at everything like that, you know. Everything's built on trust and respect, and Jiu-Jitsu taught me to look within, you know, first and apply those things. You know, I had to start learning how to respect myself if I wanted to do this. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Since then, I've trained with Samir Chantre. I know you guys have had him on. I met a guy named Marcos Torregrosa. He's out of Sacramento, California. What's up to Marcos? He's like my long-lost cousin. We got the same last name. We connected. He's a really cool guy. I really look up to him. There's so many heroes in my eyes with Jiu-Jitsu. It's just endless. So highly recommend it for anybody to go out and go train. Even if you can't do it all the time, even if you lose focus for a little bit, as long as you maintain on the path, there's something about it that just has a ripple effect on everything else. And I don't know what would have happened had I not found something so difficult and so fun and so what I needed during that time in my life. I don't know what my outlet would have been now. And that's the crazy thing. It's given me, you know, a passion and something to look forward to every day. I try to plan my schedule so that I can train. And it's just been pretty awesome. And here I am, a lowly white belt, and I look forward to doing this for the rest of my life. And I don't think anything's going to stop me now. I've already been through so many obstacles that my mind is made up, and that's my jiu-jitsu story, man.
In the space of a single week in December 2013, I quit my last job, I turned 59, and I was awarded my black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. Just about everything else changed, but Jiu-Jitsu remained substantially the same. I retired from work, but not from Jiu-Jitsu or living life to the full. I trained 3 to 5 times a week, mostly at Langy's MMA in Sydney, Australia, with regular visits to a few other gyms. After training at Langy's on a warm day, I can take a short drive to the beach for a run along the sand and a swim in the ocean, if I want. The way the global climate seems to be heading, swimming on sunny midwinter days in Sydney is doable. I am fortunate to live a life so enjoyable. Jiu-Jitsu is a social activity. I have refereed hundreds of matches. I competed at the BJJF Sydney Invitational earlier this year. I go to a competition and see dozens of people who are happy to see me, as I am to see them. But what still excites me the most is waking up and thinking, yes, today I'm going to the academy to train. I regard the 3 instructors who have helped me the most, Anthony, Peter and Darko, as good friends, and I have many others who try to sweep, choke and arm bar me regularly. My last seminar was with Guy Mendez. It paid off. I managed a berimbolo against a blue belt the last time I rolled. Guy and Huffer are mind-blowing to watch, but there are 3, quote, celebrity, unquote, instructors who have impressed me the most. My introduction to Jiu-Jitsu was at a John Will seminar. Over the years, I have yet to come across a better coach. John doesn't just teach, he inspires. Go to a seminar with him if you can. You will come away with many new ideas to consider about life as well as Jiu-Jitsu. Carlos Machado is a really nice man. He has remembered me at every visit to our gym. Teaches a narrative of related techniques that are state-of-the-art, but require little in the way of speed, strength or athleticism. Stuff anyone can do. He makes it all appear so effortless. And if you do it properly, it can be. I wish. I applaud Steve Maxwell for his unique lifestyle and willingness to follow his own path. While best known for his strength and conditioning expertise, which equals that of anyone on the planet, that tends to overshadow how good his jiu-jitsu is and how well he teaches it. Spend time with him if you ever get the chance. He is an amazing exemplar and very generous with his deep knowledge and his time, especially if you want to be doing jiu-jitsu into your 60s and beyond. I've tried yoga, but Steve's breathing and mobility drills and jiu-jitsu give me all it ever did and more. This art is infinite, not just the breadth of techniques, which expands daily, but the technical layers, depth and possibilities inherent in each individual technique. There is no end to jiu-jitsu. Back to my black belt. It happened at the annual big end-of-year grading at my academy. Matt was packed to capacity, great atmosphere. Two of my classmates, Andrew and Dave, were also awarded their black belts. Like me, they'd done the hard yards over many years. The same night, a guy called Ronnie, a blue belt, came up afterwards and congratulated me. He then told me that some of my teaching efforts at the school where I started jiu-jitsu, Rick Spain's Kung Fu Academy, were what inspired him to begin his own jiu-jitsu journey. Knowing that my enthusiasm for this art inspired him to tread a similar path is deeply satisfying. Other people have told me of my role in their conversion to the obsession that is jiu-jitsu. That, more than anything else, is the best reward for chasing this dream. Peace, love, jiu-jitsu.
This is Jim Schoen. I've been training jiu-jitsu for approximately 10 months. I was in the Marine Corps many years ago, and currently I'm a reserve Wichita police officer. There's many ways jiu-jitsu has impacted my life. The first one would be a lot of one-on-one time I get with my son. He wrestles, and so we got to kind of get to spend a lot more time together training with each other. Another one would be self-confidence with what I've been taught. For example, being put in situations that I must adapt and overcome, whether it be a position on the mat or my everyday job or life itself. Another way would be camaraderie with such great friends. The jiu-jitsu world is like a big family, not only in the gym, but in my personal life. And I've heard that story many times from other individuals that I train with, of the great camaraderie. Last, but certainly not the least, is discipline. This is my newfound passion. I absolutely love this. I wish I could train 7 days a week, and I don't feel right, mind, body, soul, if I miss a training night. I said, but if you got a great teacher like I do, he finds a way to get me the extra time to train, and it means a lot to me. This also carries over to raising my children, and I find that the discipline is so important. What I like to say now is that it makes me feel like I'm 45 years young, not 45 years old. I truly wish that I was 20 years old again.
Hi guys, I'm Tim Sled from Atos Jiu-Jitsu, Oceanside, California, Small Axe Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has given me so much that I use off the mat. Whether it was when I was a trial lawyer, it helped me perform in the courtroom. But, you know, it's been something that in every aspect of my life, it's taught me humility. Getting beat day in and day out on the mat helps you realize your mortality, helps you realize your the room that you have for improvement, and it really makes you a humble person. Jiu-jitsu is one of the few things in the world that is absolutely true for you. When you step on the mat, there's no false, there's no lying. It's you exposed, and when people are able to see that and feel that, then they're able to recognize who they are as a person and improve from there. And that's what it's done for me. I know that there's times in your life where you've got to dig deep and push harder, and there's times in your life where you've got to be willing to concede so that you can play again. And that's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for me in a nutshell. It is a supremely gratifying endeavor, because at each level of success, whether it's a competition victory or a belt promotion, that you've worked hard to get there. There's no phony baloney. There's no dance steps to make it look pretty and then earn a pat on the back. It's the real deal. It is, you earned what you've gotten. The day you get your black belt, for most people, especially it was for me, is a super emotional day, because you've invested an extreme amount of time and energy and resources in achieving that goal. And when you get there, there's no taking it back. You've got it. You are a black belt. And, I was extremely emotional the day I got my black belt, because probably from the time I was, 2 years old, I was wrestling with my dad. And that was the beginning of my jiu-jitsu. So from 2 to, I think I was 33 when I got my black belt, I had been spending time engaged in grappling, and when jiu-jitsu came along and gave me a scientific approach to moving and recognizing strengths and weaknesses that I have, it was just a whole nother level of joy. And getting that black belt changed my life and made me understand that I'm able to accomplish anything. So people who are out there that are just starting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, understand it's a humongous investment, but it's one that is well worth the time, well worth the energy, well worth the cost, because everything you earn is yours. Nobody can earn it for you, and nobody can take it away once you've earned it. It's yours. And I'm extremely grateful for the people who have been my guides through this process, the people that have helped me, the people that have encouraged me, the people who have told me when I wanted to quit that there's no quitting. You stay the course, you stay in the fight. Extremely grateful to them. And that's the other thing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has taught me, is though it's an individual endeavor, you have to have people around you that are willing to support you and hold you up, and that you're willing to support and hold up, because it's not an endeavor that you can undertake alone. You have to have training partners. You have to have people that are your guides and instructors and are willing to correct your errors, willing to call you on your bluff, willing to smash you, willing to let you train on them and be their coach. All of those people put a little bit of life into every stripe you get on your belt, every belt you put around your waist. Every match you win, every match you lose, your training partners are there, your students are there, and it's not you alone. And that's another thing you've got to realize in life in general. That I realize in life in general is that, it's the collective that's very, very important. It's who you have around you that's going to help you succeed, who's going to be there when you need correction. And nothing else in the world for me has been the same as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, probably because I'm hard-headed, and, if I have to concede, it has a different importance to me than somebody telling me, that I need to do something. If I learn that I have to do something because I failed, then I find more value in that. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has aided my life greatly off the mat. It's provided an opportunity for me to have a second career, a career distinct from the one that I chose when I was 18 years old and entering into college, and setting the path for the rest of my life to be one of being a lawyer Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gave me an out when later on I decided that what I was looking for in life was different than what I was looking for at 18. So I'm extremely grateful that came up and that it was this and not something else. So stay the course, stay in the fight, look for the lessons. They're always there. Focus your mind on the positive things. Focus your mind on the beautiful components. Focus your mind on the love that you have for your training partners, your jiu-jitsu family, your coaches, your students. Focus your mind on those things. Stay away from the how hard it is or how long it's going to take. It is a long process, but it's not about the achievements. It's about the process. It's about the steps toward improving yourself. It's about undertaking a mission of self-improvement physically, mentally, often emotionally. And, that's a wonderful hobby for some people, a wonderful career for others. Man, I tell you what, you know exactly what's important in your life when you put relationships in a situation where somebody has your safety or you have their safety in each other's hands, and you can slap hands and bump fists again and again and again because you honor the social contract of tapping when necessary and letting loose when somebody taps. So stay the course.
Hey, my name is Jason Goldstein. I'm originally from New Hampshire, but now I live in Charleston, South Carolina. I've been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 15 years, almost half my life. I'm 36 years old. I just turned 36 in August. I have a very long, strange journey in the sport, martial art, etc. I started training under a blue belt when most people didn't even know what jiu-jitsu was, couldn't even say it. I would travel down to Watertown, Mass., which was almost an hour from where I lived, to go to the main school where my blue belt instructor was from and get beat up down there. It was pretty crazy. I used to get so pissed off because I would get lost for the first few months trying to get there, and sometimes I'd end up late to class or, get lost on the way back home, and it would take me hours and I'd be exhausted, and it was pretty crazy. I went through a bunch of different teachers and schools, and I think that's kind of the crux of what made me who I am as a practitioner of jiu-jitsu. But what's also held me back, I've been a blue belt now for 10 years. I got my blue belt in February of 2005 from Keith Florian. Some of you may know Keith. He's the brother of Kenny Florian. Ken Flo from the UFC was on Tough Season 1. Both really good teachers and really tough guys. So shout out to both Kenny and Keith if they're listening. But I ended up going from kind of gym to gym for a number of years because I just couldn't find a good spot to fit into. Either the school was too competition-based for me, and I don't really compete very often, don't really have a liking for it, or kind of wasn't intense enough, or I didn't have a real good connection with the teacher. Not that they were bad, but you just have to jive with someone and really soak in the kind of teaching personality they have. The big break for me was when I actually got to teach class myself. It's kind of a high point in my career, quote unquote, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was training 5-6 days a week, 2 or 3 days with my teacher, and then teaching 2 or 3 days. I was in great shape. My technique was exploding. So figures it was around that time that I had a big setback. I got my first serious injury, herniating a disc in my back, and that limited my teaching and training. For about 4 or 5 years, I would train here and there and off and on. The big thing is I realize as I've gotten older and I've had many ups and downs in my training is to just not quit. Of course I'd like to be a black belt someday, and that day may happen. I've got 3 stripes on my blue belt now. I'm training with American Top Team Low Country. So shout out to ATT Low Country, OS, and Ricardo Laborio Jiu-Jitsu. So I definitely see some success, some improvement, and a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. But the important thing is, in Jiu-Jitsu, everybody's journey is different. It's just exactly like life. There is no difference. It's completely parallel. And there's the haves and the have-nots, and there's, the good guys and the bad guys. The important thing is your journey is yours, and you really do get out of it what you put in. And if there's one thing that I've come to realize is that if you don't quit, you cannot possibly fail. Period. You cannot fail if you don't quit. Take time off, injuries happen, life happens, people change jobs, they have children, but just don't quit. Do not quit, and you can't fail. Os.
My name is Brian Freeman. I train with Team Hoist Gracie in Southern Pines, North Carolina. I'm kind of unique in the sport. I have a spinal cord injury. I'm paralyzed, starting below my chest. Jiu-Jitsu has helped me in so many ways there's so many ways that I can't even list them all. I can't even describe them all. I got started in the sport because I suffered a spinal cord injury, and I wanted to get my daughter involved in something that could give her confidence and the ability to defend herself. And she fell in love with it and wanted me to try it. And so I did, and I realized that it's such an amazing art that it allowed me to do things without my legs that everyone else was doing with their legs. And it enabled me to be in a world, in a sport surrounded by anyone and not just limited to, to disability. It's given me confidence. It's given me physical strength. It's allowed me to do things with my body physically that I've never imagined that I could do. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. I can't say enough how much it gives to my daughter, how much confidence it gives her going through life. Being a smart kid, bullies at school. It's impacted our lives in ways I could never explain. It's allowed me an outlet to be somewhat of a role model to other people with disabilities who may think that they can't do something like this. And, I try to open every door I can, take every opportunity I can. And, the beauty of this sport is there's always opportunities because everyone wants to help everyone. And it's just an amazing art. And it's changed my life forever for sure.
And this is John Connors. The first big lesson I got from jiu-jitsu was that there's a better way to do things. So in other words, I came from a background of wrestling in high school, a little bit in college, and in wrestling here in the States back then, the idea was that if I was stronger, if I was fitter, if I was mentally tougher than my opponent, then I could win. In jiu-jitsu, I quickly learned the theme was that there's a better way to do things. There's a technical way to do things, and technique will prevail. And what you learn off the mat is that technique is involved in everything. So just like in jiu-jitsu, there's a technique to be a better salesperson, a better public speaker, or whatever it is that you're doing in your life. There's technically a better way to do it. And if I can find out what that is, my life's going to get better. I'm going to be more effective at what I'm doing. The other big thing I get from jiu-jitsu is that it's a safe environment for me to experience a stress response. I can put myself under some stress, and I can persevere and endure and come out okay. Very often, the first time somebody's stuck under a mount in jiu-jitsu, some big person's on top of them, it's just a terrible feeling, and you think, gee, am I ever going to get out of here? You know, sometimes in the beginning when I was under a really big person, I had that panic attack, that feeling like I'm going to be here forever. You know, some archaeologist is going to dig up my bones 3,000 years from now and find that I was still stuck under a mount. But of course I survived, and I got out from underneath the mount, and I realized, oh, I'm not going to die. And for most of us in our life, we don't face life or death situations unless we're a firefighter or police officer or something like that. But we still experience tremendous psychological stress where we feel like, oh my gosh, this is a life or death situation. And for most of us, we're not in a life or death situation. So jiu-jitsu sort of teaches us, oh, we can get through this. We can stay calm, stay focused, do the technically correct thing, and we're going to survive. I'm going to be okay. So that's just a great message that you can learn every day that you're on the mat and apply to life off the mat. And the last thing I would say, the real big thing is about transformation. I can transform myself. I learned that in jiu-jitsu. So in jiu-jitsu, they really teaches you to have a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset says, I'm strong or I'm weak, or I'm fast or I'm slow, or I'm smart or I'm not smart. A growth mindset says, I can get better at something. I can get better at pretty much everything if I conscientiously train at it and systematically try to improve. So I can start off as a computer nerd and transform myself and gain a level of mastery in jiu-jitsu and become, essentially an expert in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu if I apply myself. And that can be applied in any part of life. So whatever I'm doing in life, if I approach it the right way with good instruction, good leadership, and apply myself with the right effort, conscientiously try to get better, I can get better at anything. So it doesn't matter where I start, I can transform myself and get better at anything. I can become better at business, better parent, whatever I want to do, I can get better. And that's just the best lesson of all, the lesson that you can transform yourself. So I hope you find that helpful, and I hope to talk to you soon. Take care.
This is Nick Albin, also known as Chewy.
All right, so how has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu benefited me off the mat? That was the question that was asked to me, and it's a heck of a question. So I guess to talk about, before I talk about like how it's benefited me, I think it's important to understand who I was when I was getting into Jiu-Jitsu. So I started when I was 18 years old, and before that, when I was 12 years old, I was jumped. I was beat up by two 18-year-olds at the time and one 16-year-old. And so that had a dramatic effect. I went from being this like sort of outdoorsy, outgoing kid to being a very reclusive homebody that didn't want to go outside. And I went from being used to exercising and running around and stuff to not exercising almost at all. I gained a lot of weight. I ended up becoming very awkward in like social situations. In high school, I ended up developing a stutter because I'd get so nervous just talking in front of people because I was so insecure. So when I got into jiu-jitsu, I was 18 years old. I had been wrestling a bit, since I was about 13. And, I was good at wrestling, but it still really hadn't sunk in. I really hadn't developed sort of that inner confidence yet. So when I got into jiu-jitsu, I was still a very insecure kid. And one of the first benefits I got from jiu-jitsu was simply just being confident and being able to develop a sort of intrinsically rooted confidence in myself. So it wasn't something that was external. It was in me. I became confident in who I was, what I was able to do, and what I could accomplish. Going along with that, it gave me the confidence and the acceptance to fail. So, and that seems kind of weird, but we spend most of our time in the beginning failing, and then as we get better, we understand that in order to get better in jiu-jitsu, you have to take chances. You have to try new moves. You have to work on your weak positions and all this stuff. And what's going to happen because of this is that you're going to screw up. You're going to get your hands dirty. You're going to go after things, and sometimes you're just going to mess things up. And that's just part of the course. That's part of the course to getting better. And so being able to sort of understand that has made it easier for me to go about life and do a number of different things, because, there's times in life where we want to do something, but it's going to be uncomfortable. And so being able to deal with that failure and being able to deal with that sort of uncomfortable feeling that you get, it's been huge. It's allowed me to take advantage of a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have done otherwise, because I wasn't afraid to screw up. I wasn't afraid to make mistakes. I was just like, screw it, let's do it and let's see what happens. And so that's something I definitely got from jiu-jitsu. Another thing is that it's helped me go about sort of learning, and think of it as skill and knowledge acquisition. It's helped me go about those things in a completely different way. And many of you will probably know this. When you get good at something, it sort of unlocks a door. It's sort of in your brain. It tells you how to get good at something. And so you can take that knowledge of what it takes to be really good at something, and you can take it to other aspects of your life and other areas of your life, and you can take that same mindset to that. And that's helped out a lot. And then there's just simply a ton of different things. It's changed the way that I eat and go about things, because, there is a direct correlation with what you put in your body and how you perform on the mat. And so I've constantly try to improve my diet and to be more conscious of what I'm putting in my body. And that's had a huge effect on my health overall, for sure. And then the friendships, I mean, man, I can't explain how amazing some of the people are that I've met through jiu-jitsu. And it's just, you can't put it into words. And my life would it would suck without those people in it. And it's hard to explain. If someone doesn't train, then they don't really know the bond that's created when you train with someone, when you're trading blood and sweat with someone else on the mat, and you're basically just smashing each other's face in the mat. It's really hard to explain how that just makes you so close, but it does. And then on top of that, you just become friends over time. And so I have some amazing friendships that I've developed through jiu-jitsu. And so I guess, there's I could go on forever, because it's pretty much made me who I am personally. But I guess the last thing to say would be that I'm a jiu-jitsu instructor full-time. I'm a business owner full-time. And so that allows me to live a lifestyle that I really enjoy. I'm able to come in and wake up every morning and help people. I can help people, get better at competing and win competitions. I can help people lose weight and get into shape. I can give people a competitive activity that they can get into, that they can channel that energy, that can help people reap the same benefits that I got from jiu-jitsu, and I can be the catalyst to help them reap those benefits. And so it's a great job, and I enjoy it, and I take it seriously. But it's an amazing job, and I'm very lucky to live the life that I do. And so that wouldn't be possible without jiu-jitsu. So I'm tongue-tied today, huh? So that's, it's a really tough question, but I think that kind of goes over some of the basics, and, I don't know what else to say. So guys, I hope that makes sense. I hope it's not too rambly, and thanks, guys.
Hey, Gary and Byron. This is Eli. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. I know I don't sound like an Australian, but I grew up wrestling, practiced karate the last couple of years, and shortly after I started jiu-jitsu, which hasn't been that long, only about a little less than a month, I discovered your podcast. I've done almost every episode in probably a week and a half, and it's just helped me immensely find my way and figure out, where I'm at, where to start, where to go, what to read. I mean, you guys have turned me on to pretty much everything I need to know, or at least the beginning of the path of everything I need to know in such a short period of time that I immediately pretty much bought your book. Not so much because I haven't even listened to it yet, but I bought it because the amount of information that you have put up there for nothing, and the access to the quality of players in the sport that I could listen firsthand to the way that they, all of their opinions about everything has just helped me so immensely from everything from, I'm over 40, I'm 44 years old, I'm starting as a white belt. I wrestle a little bit, and I've done a few years of karate in the past, and it's helped me so much to figure out what sort of game I should be playing, what I should be doing with nutrition and working out outside rolling, and just so much that
I didn't even mind buying the book because I felt like I still feel like I owe you more money, but I'm not going to send you any. So thanks so much, guys. Keep up the really good work. And I'll be all the way down here still listening. And you're still going to be helping heaps. Have a great day, guys. And keep rolling. Stay sweaty and make sure you shower. Wash your gi, too.
This is Byron Jabara from the BJJBrick Podcast. I want to share with you a few of the ways Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has improved my life. Obviously, there are tremendous health benefits to doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or anything that you could find enjoyable and that gets you a great workout. And there's no doubt that the warm-ups, the learning technique, and then definitely the sparring are great ways to keep your body active and help keep you healthy. Another thing that Jiu-Jitsu has done for me is it really taught me how to learn, and that failing is a large part of any learning process. Whether it's Jiu-Jitsu or anything you're trying to learn, it's okay to fail along the way to getting to where you want to get to. Example with Jiu-Jitsu would be you learn a technique, you try it on somebody, it doesn't work. You keep trying it doesn't work. Then you kind of get to work, and then you finally, the technique works on somebody near your skill level or below. That's similar with anything in life about learning, and just really accepting that you're going to fail at things, and that's part of the process. Another big thing Jiu-Jitsu has helped in my life is it's the social interactions you get with people. Lots of friends, obviously. Anybody who trains at a gym is going to quickly make friends and people that they can count on. When I started doing Jiu-Jitsu, I was not a firefighter, and I didn't really consider that a career path because my neighbor was a firefighter, and he weighs about 260 pounds, and that's kind of what I had in my mind as a firefighter. Some guys started training that were on the department, and I showed interest, and they welcomed me in, and they really took me under their wing and helped me with this career path I've been on. And clearly you don't need to be 260 pounds and a giant in order to be a firefighter, but I really didn't consider that as an option until I met these individuals. So you just get to meet a wide range of people on the mat. Everyone from a doctor, lawyer, and people who are looking for employment or people who are retired. I mean, there's everybody out there, and just getting to know them off of the mat, and you're able to usually help people and to be helped a little bit when you need it. It's really a tremendous resource of enrichment for my life. And finally, the one last thing I want to touch on is it's helped build trust in people. You really need to trust somebody who's got you in a submission, that they are going to respond appropriately when you tap, or maybe they see something that you don't, and they will help keep you safe. And that's, you build that every day, with people that you train with, and also have built that on the job as a firefighter, trusting my teammates and really knowing that they have my best interest at heart is something that not everybody picks up as well, I think, as I have. And I really am able to trust everybody that I work with on the mat and off the mat. So there are many, many, many more ways I could explain to how Jiu-Jitsu has helped benefit my life. These are a couple of the highlights, and I really encourage you to think about how Jiu-Jitsu has helped you.
This is Gary from the BjjBrick Podcast, and I'd also like to share my experience of what Jiu-Jitsu has done for me. First of all, I've been training about 13 years. I've trained both gi and no gi. When I originally started, a lot more gi, and today I'm almost exclusively no gi. Something I just like a little bit better, but to each their own. The very first thing I think that has really helped me with is just it's a great workout. I mean, and to me it's better than lifting weights or playing basketball. I mean, it's a great workout. It keeps my body fat lower, it keeps my strength up, it keeps my conditioning up, works my heart, keeps my weight down, it allows me to eat as much as I want without getting too big. But strength-wise too, I like to hit the weights at the Y or at the gym. And I notice too, even when I take time off, just from training on the mat, pushing and pulling my partner, my strength doesn't leave. It kind of stays there. Conditioning, my conditioning is off the charts thanks to Jiu-Jitsu. I do stuff with my friends that don't train Jiu-Jitsu, and they can't believe I'm not a marathon runner. You're just used to jiu-jitsu puts people in deep water. It's a tough sport that can make grown men cry. Flexibility. My flexibility, I've never been a very flexible person, but jiu-jitsu, without even necessarily working and focus on my flexibility, it just comes just from putting yourself in those positions. Putting your legs into positions and your hips that you never thought was possible. And that's definitely led to less injuries. Speaking of injuries, back-wise, too, a lot of people, do have back issues. And I'd always had a little bit of pain in my back, but my core has gotten so much stronger from playing jiu-jitsu. The guard game has really made it much, much stronger. And I do have less pain there in the back, and it probably has a lot to do with flexibility there also. Another great benefit is just the awesome people I've met, the camaraderie. These guys that you train with, we're on the mat. We're trying to choke each other out. We're trying to take each other's arms off, take each other's legs off. We go at it. We're going 100% combat. So when you train that hard with people, there's such a camaraderie, such a respect for each other, and you just get some of the greatest people in the world that you train with. They become great friends. Case in point is I moved across town, or actually not across town, same side of town, but I was getting ready to move all my stuff, and I didn't want to hire a mover, trying to save a little bit of money. And, I was trying to get a couple guys to help me move, and I had to turn people away. People were volunteering. Like, who the heck wants to move? Nobody, but that's what training partners do. They're always there for each other. And I know I'll be there for my training partners, and my training partners were there for me. But so just incredible camaraderie. Another benefit I've seen is just confidence. Not just confidence on the mat in my ability, but confidence, in my relationship, in my marriage, in my, parenting, in my job. I'm just much more confident. If I can get on a mat with some of these monsters and you're just getting smashed and just beat up, what can't I do? I look at it. What I'm doing on the mat in the gym is harder than anything I'm going to deal with in regular life. Whatever God throws at me, what I'm dealing with, I feel prepared to almost deal with anything. And I can also say in my job situation, I'm much more confident, where before I might not even applied for a job. I was kind of afraid, what if I failed at this job? Can I really do it? What's everybody going to think if I end up getting fired from this job? I don't think that way anymore. It's like, man, put me in that job. I'll figure out a way to make it work. I'll give everything I've got. Jiu-jitsu has taught us not to quit, but also that we're not going to win every time. Just like in life, we can't win every time. There's going to be setbacks, but we just got to keep going up and plugging forward. And that's what that confidence, has done for me. Just makes me try stuff that I wouldn't have tried. I'm not afraid to step out of my comfort zone. I've also been a much happier person. I've got a mind that doesn't turn off. I'm always thinking worst case scenarios. Well, I used to. I don't as much anymore, but I always thinking worst case scenario, led to a stressful living. And I tell you, I've become a lot happier. I get on the mat. I don't think anything, whatever stress has happened in the day, it's gone. I've just got a smile from ear to ear the minute I'm on the mat. In my opinion, it's the best stress relief. I get done, and I'm too tired to even worry about anything, too. So goes from there. And also, too, from different interviews we've done on the podcast, I've started even deep breathing, not necessarily meditation, trying a little meditation, but just trying to sit in a quiet place, breathe deep, try to clear my head. Just little tricks I've learned is through jiu-jitsu has made me that much better. Probably, in my opinion, the most important thing that's really happened to me is the bonding I've had with my son. I try to bring my son with me whenever I go to jiu-jitsu. I go to all his wrestling practices, all his wrestling meets. My son's 8 years old, and it's just a great way for father and son to bond. And I just can't wait to keep training with him the rest of my life. And hopefully we both stick with it, and I know I will. I'm not going to force him into anything, but it seems like he's really enjoying it, and I just think it's done great for both of us. And probably the main reason I started training jiu-jitsu is self-defense. When I started, it was all self-defense. I figured I could probably use some self-defense if something happened. And I do feel like I'm more prepared than I was before. I feel a lot more confidence in situations, and I'm also much more confident myself where if there was an altercation, I will actually try to talk myself out of it. I'm that much more confident that I don't need to prove anything. Where before I'd probably be like, I want to fight this guy and do this and that, thinking that's the tough guy. And, now I realize the tough guy is the guy who's confident in himself, doesn't need to fight, and realizes that walking away is your best bet. But also, too, I know we keep talking about seeing all these zombie movies and, the decay of the world, but, if the zombies ever start coming or somebody knocks on my door and tries to rob me with a shotgun, there's always ever popular guard pull and go straight to a leg lock, and I think I could diffuse the situation that way. So, but all in all reality, Jiu-Jitsu has done wonders for me. I'm much happier today than I was 14 years ago before I started training, and so I really love it. I'm going to keep training, and I wish I could be training right now. But thank you all for listening.
Well, we wrapped it up there with Gary closing the stories of what Jiu-Jitsu has done for us. And I really appreciate everybody who either sent in an audio clip or who I connected with and called and recorded or got a hold of Gary and recorded it. And it was really great to hear all these stories come together and learn what Jiu-Jitsu has done for so many different people. So, I'm reminded it's not just for me that somebody that I'm either coaching or training with, they have their own, things in life that they're getting out of Jiu-Jitsu. And it's just as important that they keep training as it is important that I keep training. You can't make somebody do something they don't want to do. But, if somebody's struggling and they've lost 20 pounds and they've got 50 more to go, they need to be encouraged to keep going. And it could be a huge thing in their life. And it's just great to hear all these stories about, just success off the mat from what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has brought to them.
It's an honor to have all the support of you guys listening to us each week. It's heartwarming, I guess. It's just unbelievable. Listening to these stories of what Jiu-Jitsu has done, and kind of like what Byron said before we started the clips. He was talking about BJJ is not just about fighting; it's much more. When I first started, I really just want to learn how to beat people up, to be honest. I'd watch UFC, and that's what I thought I was going to get out of it. And that's the least I've got out of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And, share this with all your friends, people who haven't trained, people who stopped training. I just think it's going to be very motivational, maybe get more people on the mat, and then we're all just going to benefit even that much more. It's a incredible activity to be part of.
Yeah. If somebody's asking you, why are you going to train? We could do this instead today, or they're kind of questioning why you spend your time here. This episode you could send it to them, but these people, it may not be you, but they are your teammates, and as a team, you're there for them and supporting them, and hopefully you're getting a ton off of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, and gaining from it a lot. So, and I just want a big thank you for everybody for sharing their stories. People really opened up and didn't have to, share the way they did, but really appreciate that.
Hey, and how about this week? I know a lot of you guys couldn't get your audio clip to us, but why don't you go on to our answer this question on our Facebook page? How has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu benefited your life? Just go to our Facebook page, BjjBrick, and answer that question. Let us know how it's helped you out. Basically, like always, we're on social media, Facebook, Twitter. Any questions, concerns, anything you want to talk to us about, send us an email, BjjBrick@gmail.com. We're always checking our email. We'll definitely get back to you. We get back to everybody. Definitely let all your friends, family and friends know about this episode. I really think this will get more people on the mats, and that's what it's about. We want to share the art. We want more people to see what's so great about Jiu-Jitsu, and in my opinion, it is great. It's incredible. It's like a drug, but legal drug, I guess we'll call it. So definitely, we appreciate everybody listening and their support.
Yeah, and if this is your first time listening, welcome to the BjjBrick Podcast. If you're already training, great. Thanks for finding us and check us out. This isn't a typical episode, but if you enjoyed this, you'll probably enjoy other episodes we have. If this is your first time listening and you haven't trained, really just consider what you've heard today and these testimonies about how great jiu-jitsu is, and think about checking it out. It's not some crazy thing you're going to, go to and get beat up. It's a fun thing, and most jiu-jitsu schools are run like a business. They want customers. They want to make it fun. They want to make it educational. It is a hard thing to do, but that's just part of it, so your expectations are probably a little off as far as what's preventing you from walking in the door and stepping on the mat your first time. So I really just encourage you, if it's too much to go in and try it, go in and watch a class, and a lot of your fears will just be washed away with what it is. And obviously there's a cost with most things, but you're worth an investment, like something like this and some of the things that this has done for people. So just, if you haven't trained yet, I really encourage you to give it a shot and just reap some of these benefits that you've heard today.
And Byron's talking about, this isn't a typical episode. We have also a non-typical episode next week. We have an incredible guest, one of the Dirty Dozen in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Chris Howder, will be our guest next week. And so definitely tell your friends, tell your training partners about that. The guy's a legend. We're going to learn a ton, and I can't wait.
Absolutely. And Gary and I are in Wichita, Kansas, in the middle of the country. If you are traveling through Wichita, give us a holler at our email, BjjBrick@gmail.com. We'll be happy to get on the mat with you, my friends, and get some training in. That's always a good time. And we had our friend Eli, our new good buddy Eli.
He's going to give us a closing this week that we normally do. So take it away, Eli.
Stay sweaty and make sure you shower. Wash your gi, too.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.